2, 3. got some ringers up here, huh, Miss Jessica?
They're 8th graders.
8th graders?
She's a 7th grader.
7th grader? So have you been like manipulating their grades to hold them back and keep them hot longer? Wow, come on, give them another hand. So now, this is a great place to start from, that you guys have that much figured out already. You know, playing that well. It's a great testament to the work that you're putting in and to the work that your director has done with you, right? There's a lot of stuff going on. So that gives us actually nice, great, fertile breeding ground to start from. And said, okay, let's start with the blues. What blues head do you know? Now that's a loaded question for me, but they were able to answer it. Billy's Bounce. Now here's the reason that I say this. My wife has one of the best definitions of improvisation that I know, so I'm crediting her. I steal this from her because it's perfect. She says that to improvise is to, with musical purpose, deviate from the original melody. I'll say that again, because that is just so well put. With musical purpose, to deviate from the original melody. Now, one of the things that we often do in blues is that we reduce it to this phrase, oh, it's just a blues. And so then it doesn't matter what melody we play, we kind of tend to then play the same way once we start playing the blues, rather than realize, no, I'm playing Billy's Bounce. And there's a melody to Billy's Bounce. There's a method to my madness. That's why I asked everybody to sing, because now I know that everyone knows the melody. Let's sing that melody together right here. 1, 2, 3. Shake it, believe it, do it out, sing it out, sing it, stop. So now immediately, part of the characteristic of this melody, but it also happens to be a characteristic of the music itself, is that what we call hemiola, or 3 against 4, or that rhythm that felt like su-ya-da, su-ya-da, su-ya-da. Ooh-ya-da, ooh-ya-da. I love it. When Ella said it, she used, Ella and also Dizzy Gillespie. The phrase that they used for that rhythm was ooh-ya-coo. Say it? Ooh-ya-coo. Ooh-ya-coo. I almost heard you. Ooh-ya-coo. 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 Let's sing the melody again. 1, 2, 3. Ooh-ya-da, su-ya-da, ooh-ya-coo, su-ba-da-da-da. Sha-do-di-da-da, say-li-da-di-da. Say-di-da-da, say-ba-da, say-ba-da, su-ya-da. Now, not worrying about the notes for a moment, whisper that for me. Let's whisper that melody. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. Shut up, do you know? So you know, so you know, da da. Shut up, da da, da da. Say da da. Shut da, shut da. Whisper loud one more time. Now I do this because what this is actually showing you is that there is a rhythmic language in this music. And that rhythmic language is one of the most important things that distinguishes the sound of this musical dialect from other musical dialects. Dee do dee do dee do dee do dee dee do dee do dee do dee do da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee. If I whisper that, the music, the rhythmic language is da da dee da dee da dee da dee dee da dee da dee da dee da 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 dee da dee da 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 dee da dee, which is different than this rhythmic language. So now, if I'm learning from the melody, what I want to do when I start to improvise is recreate the type of rhythmic language that I hear from that melody. So in other words, we can't play stop, shoo-ba-doo-la, shoo-ba-doo-la, soo-ya-da, soo-ya-da, da 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 da, because it's not the same rhythmic language. Are you with me? Does that make sense? It's just logical. I deal in logic, right? So now, here's what we're going to do. We're playing blues again. 4 bars each. All I really want to hear is the rhythmic language. I don't even care what notes you play. It can be the ugliest notes in the world. I don't care what the notes are, but that's the rhythmic language we're after. Here we go. On the F blues, starting with Kaya, 4 bars each. We're going Kaya, Kale, and Olivia. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. So everybody, let's sing that rhythmic language. Whisper it. 1, 2, 3. Is that the same rhythmic language as? Right? Find that rhythmic language. 1, 3, 2, 3. Rhythm section, just play very. You got brushes with you? All right. Just go to brushes with me on hi-hat for a second. All right. Just play that with me. I'm just going to speak back and forth to 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry, I said hi-hat. I'm not snap. You know, just brush back. There we go. 1, 2, 3. We're walking changes. 1, 3. 1, Beautiful. How they doing? There's an old African proverb. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? And a lot of times what we're actually trying to do is we're trying to get the kids to keep all of the plates spinning at once, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Those who know the old Ed Sullivan show know what I'm talking about, keeping the plate spinning. That's all the cat did, was he would get the plate spinning and keep it spinning. Where he's got to have his attention here and here and here and here. Well, at this point, no, let's not do that. Let's put the attention on one thing at a time. So my only focus at that point was rhythmic language, right? And once we got there, You all actually even made some nice note choices on that, but I wasn't even concerned about note choices. That's something we can deal with rhythmic language. Part of it, and we're going to go back to Clark Terry School for a moment. We were talking about this last night. Say it with me. Daddle. Deedle. Diddle. Dodle. Doodle. Daddle, deedle, diddle, dodle, doodle. Daddle, deedle, diddle, dodle, doodle. All right, I have to get rid of this stuff. You swallow it. Okay. It's just getting in the way, right? The ability to doodle tongue is not simply about doing that on your instrument, but it is about understanding this language. Dulia. Say it with me. Dulia. Dolia. Dolia. Dolia do da. Dolia do lida. Dolia do lida. Do lida. Do lida. Do lida. Do lida. When my students get tired of me saying it's shahula, tell them all the time, your best shahula still inside. Now time to bring out. Shahula do did da. No. Shahula do did da. 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 Aha! Right? So if they're not making the same language, it's not just the words. Again, I go back to my Texan speaking French. Parlez-vous français? It's not just the words, it is how we enunciate them. Do ya lead out. 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 Lida, 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 lida. Don't you lida? Don't you lida? Right, and it takes time. Actually, no, I'm gonna not pick on KL because I don't want to neglect our rhythm folks back here. Right? Come on up here, Basil. Sweet Basil. There's a club that was named after you. Did you know that? Sweet Basils in New York? Oh, okay. That's club. You're no longer called Sweet Basils, but that's okay. That means you have the right to use the name, right? All right. One of my favorites. Oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah.
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 Beautiful. Play that for me on your bass. I don't care what the notes are, but I want to feel oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. Now, where did the oops start from? Oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. Do they start from the same place or different places? Certain place, okay. Is bleed and blah going to be higher, lower? Oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. Okay, so try that for me. Oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. Now, that sounded like do, 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 versus oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. There we go. Okay, it's getting there. And the whole point is to remember that these instruments are pretty dumb. Really. They know nothing. We're talking about playing smart and soulful, right? The instrument knows nothing. I left my house one day, Aaron, left a tape recorder going over by my piano. You know what? I got home, it didn't make a sound the entire time I was gone. Right? It didn't make one sound, which means the only thing that's going to come out of the instrument is what's coming out of here. Right? So, once we can start getting these sounds, can I sit here for 1 second, Aaron? Oop, oop, to bleed, oop, oop, to blah. So leave it, so get up. is there's nothing that comes out of this instrument that doesn't come out of you, right? So if we simply start thinking, I've got to get sound out of my head through my instrument, then the question becomes not how do I do that, but how do I get the sound in my head? How do I listen to the little voices? Sometimes I don't want to listen to the little voices in my head. But how do I get those right little voices in my head? You all said it earlier. Doing what? Okay. Older musicians used to tell me that all of the time when I was younger. Oh, you gotta listen and listen, and you need to listen more. You listen. And I had no idea what to do with that information. I listened and I still couldn't play. Right? It wasn't, again, until I started singing what I was listening to. Right? So give me a recording that you all have had to listen to for Mr. E. Because I'm afraid of messing up Escovedo. Did I get it right? It's going to be Mr. E, because I won't mess that up. Give me something that Mr. E has required you all to sing. Second time around. Love is lovelier the second time around. That one. Started out there. Stay tuned. I just sang the lyrics. That one. That one. Another one. Something with this rhythmic language that we're dealing with. Any bebop tunes? How about Tunisia? Got it? Shahud-la-dee. Say it for me. Shahud-la-dee. Shahud-la-dee. What if I did Shahud-la-dwee? Well, what does dwee represent that D doesn't? Ha! So now all of a sudden, dwee means something to me. It means school. Just play a dwee for me. I don't care where. Dwee. Dwee. That was more of a hooey. Just dwee. Give me a dwee. Give me a dwee. Bass is a little easier. Because all she's got to do is slide the finger, which we can do here also. A grace note will also give you a dwee. 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 No, that was a doo-wee. Dwee. There we go. Dwee. 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 Can you give me a dwee? I'll take it for now. Listen to Tony Williams, because Tony Williams had a way of making these sounds on the drum set. And I would go, how did he get that sound? But he was thinking this way, right? Shahula. 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 Now this one's going to be harder, because watch this. Make a shahula for me. Try. Shahula. Shahula. Now it's harder because we understand the rhythm, but not the shapes that create that rhythm. So let's go back, please, to our concert F major scale. Play it for me together, whole notes. Or just with me, don't worry about it being whole notes. Concert F major scale. That would be what for trumpets and tenor? G. All right, here we go. Play the F for us so that, got it. Just give me this major scale. Ready? Let's do it one more time. One more time. You should have chosen an easier key, but that's okay. We're going to stay here. Let's go concert B flat. Concert B flat. This is because it puts in a more comfortable range. Here we go. With me, ready? You need to be able to see Eric, so you can play the piano loud. Look at that though, right? Here we go. Somebody sing it. All right, so some people got it. Those who know it, sing along. Stop. Did we ever stop to think that the whole purpose of that was to help you, understand how to hear within a key, but then two, how to recognize each of those notes within that key? Are you with me? Come on, go. So now all of a sudden we're using the ear, but we're using it in a smart way. It's not guesswork. We know the sounds of these scales, right? We know where it is in the tonality. Now watch this. Come on. Do that again. One more time. How about here? What do we call what we're playing now? Arpeggios, right? What's an arpeggio? One, three, five. Another way of playing it. That's a very nice college answer. How about every other note of the scale? We just keep skipping notes, right? 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7, 4, 6, 1, 5, 7, 9, 6, 1, 3, 7, 9, 4, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. Play it for me. Ready? Get. Notice what I didn't say. I did not say do-la, but I said do-la, do-la, do-la. Now, what is a leading tone? Can one of my peanut gallery over here tell me what's a leading tone? Well, sing the scale with me. Ready? Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. What happens if I stop there? Doesn't feel complete. You just want that other note, don't you? Start it one more time. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. This note is the leading tone because it wants to lead me back to what is that interval? One of you smart people. What's the interval of do, T, do, or 7, 1? What's the interval? Somebody tell me? Half step. So a half step into anything creates a leading tone. Play me a leading tone. Play the first note of the scale. Play me a leading tone into that note. So now, use a leading tone into an arpeggio and play Shahula. Into an arpeggio and play a Shahula. Remember we did a moment ago? Hula, Now, leading tone into that. That's my hoodla. Give me shahoodla. Ah, shahoodla. 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 Ah, close, shahoodla. Good, shahoodla. Well, now I need you to, now I'm going to pick on Michelle a little bit. Because she was laying down some quarter notes. I don't know if y'all can feel it. This felt good. Go, girl. Right? Now, you play da 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 da. What I want is shahoodla. Shahoodla. I heard shahoodla. Shahoodla. Ah, shahoodla. Beautiful. Shahoodla. Beautiful. Shahoodla.
Shahula?
Now, we did the triad built off of the first scale degree. Can I do that off of any of those other triads? Shahoodla. Shahoodla. Give me a shahoodla anywhere on your instrument. Go. Beautiful. Give me another shahoodla. Beautiful. One more note. Give me a half step below the first note you started on. That way now. Beautiful. Go. Beautiful.
Shahula?
No, that's all right. Find your triad first. Just sing me your triad. Just sing me your first note. That's your who. Now just sing who. Now give me a lead tone into it. Shahula. There we go. All right. Can I trade places with me for a second? Melody. So I'm doing a different key. What key have you all been playing this in? I'm sorry? Okay, so, but you played in my key. I appreciate that, Kim. You harmonize? Okay, but that's all right. You in my key. You have my back. What did this melody start with? Shahoodla. So if I get a handle on this shahoodla business, and I can make sounds out of shahoodla, when I go to improvise on it, I can play. Rhythm section, just play the band from top. 1, 2, 3, go. But now, okay, so we've talked about a couple of different concepts. One is rhythmic language. We whispered and found that rhythmic language. Give me the rhythmic language of the interlude. 1, 2, 1, 2, rhythmic language. Right? So rhythmic language, and we talked about how to find a shahoodla. Shahoodla. We know how to find a shahoodla now, right? So, what I would do in terms of working on playing this is not even, I mean, eating the elephant one bite at a time. I'm not going to worry about how great the overall solo is on the whole thing. What your gig is to use rhythmic language in what you play so that it feels like the melody that we're playing. And now I've added in the wrinkle, I want a shahula somewhere. All right? Just play the chord changes for me for the solo section. 1, 3, I want to swing it. So now, once I understand that, so then okay, let's take some other ideas. How about a sweet hoodoo? Well, just fall a half step lower than where you went. Sweet hoodoo. There we go. One more time. Sweet hoodoo. And in order to make a sweet hoodoo, it's the opposite of a shahula dwee. Shahula dwee. Play that for me, shahula dwee. Sweet hoodoo. Sweet hoodoo. You're doing great. Shahula dwee, sweet hoodoo. Well, I might do something like that. Shahula dwee, sweet shahula-dee-da. Say it. 2, 3, 4. Shahula-dee-da. Again. 2, 3, 4. Shahula-dee-da. 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 Play that for me. Sweet Julio. Right? So now, once we start speaking in this language, speaking in the rhythmic language, and we have tied it to, here is how I make the sound within the scale. We're not only being soulful because we're playing what's inside of our heads and what's coming from us, but we're doing it in a very smart way. It's not hit and miss or trial and error, all right? So now, you get to use shahulas or sweet hula-yus, right? And anything else that you want to use as long as it's coming from here first. 1, 3, continue to work on that language. Here's one of the hard things to do when you practice. This is to all my youngsters in the room. Do not be afraid to sound bad when you practice. That may seem like a really, simple concept. It's not, because none of us like to sound bad. So what we'll tend to do a lot of times when we practice is just keep repeating the stuff that we already know and can do, right? I tell my students, they laugh about it. Well, they remind me of it because I don't even remember saying it. But I had a student tell me, yeah, Prof, I remember you telling me in a jury that if you think you sound good when you're practicing, then you're practicing the wrong thing. But there's a lot of truth in that, of making yourself sit down and do the stuff that you can't do. There's reward too. Use as a reward, after you've gone through that process, reward yourself by going back and doing the stuff that you can do and feeling good about yourself. You know? But if we use all of our practice sessions as self-help therapy, I want to feel good about myself, so I'm going to just sit and do all the things I do well. We'll stay at that point. But now, then the practice becomes, okay, I'm going, and this is really where creativity comes in. Creativity does not happen because you are given endless possibilities and options. Creativity happens because you narrow those options. And you have to work within these small confines, right? So let me play for a second here. I'm going to confine myself to shahula, shahula dwi, and sweet hula yu, and see how many places I can get around on this progression playing only that. I can play more than that, but my goal is to put myself in a box and say, I'm only doing this side. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3. Is not, can I play the most creative solo that I can play in this moment, but can I get a grasp on this much of the language so that as I play and as I hear things and as I think of them, as I sing them in my head, I can then try to get them out of the instrument, right? Because again, the instrument is pretty dumb. It doesn't know a doggone thing. That trumpet does not know how to play a B-flat scale. Kale does. That trumpet does not know how to go shahula dwi. Kale does. You with me? Yes? So now that becomes your practice. And this is when I found myself getting, I'm just a beggar that's telling other beggars where I found some bread. That's how I'm telling you stuff that worked for me. I found myself getting better when I found myself walking around going, sweet little baby, and one day I stopped myself mid-stride because I didn't even realize I was doing it. I didn't. I was just walking along. Hey, I stumbled onto something. And then the next time I got to the instrument, I tried to do that. Right? I failed miserably. But over time, I then figured out, okay, right? It has, how many people in this room have perfect pitch? Beautiful. Because it has nothing to do with having perfect pitch. And that's what we sometimes think, that in order to play what you're singing, not sing what you're playing, but play what you're singing, that we have to have perfect pitch in order to do that. No. You can teach yourself this stuff. So as I play this, Thank you. I'm here on week 2 sets nightly. Try the wheel. My point is that none of it is out of the instrument. And I didn't sit down and just do that one day. It was a lot of time with me sitting there and going, sweet hoolia doo-da, sweet hoo-da, sweet, until I understood and related the sounds to my instrument. Does any of this make sense to you guys? Yeah. Yes? Yes, yes, yes? I was talking about that one earlier, the lick. Give me that, let's see what scale I want to use. Can we do a concert C major scale? Concert C, your D scale. Ready? Go. Back down. Beautiful. Can we start that scale on the 2nd degree? Start from 2. Ready? Go. One more time. One more time. Go. Do it again. Those 4 notes. Again. Again. Si va do va. Si va do da. Si va do va do da. Dee-ba-doo-ba-dwee-da. Zee-ba-doo-ba-dwee-da. Zoo-ba-doo-ba-dwee-doo-da. And if you notice, all it is what? The first 5 notes of that scale, right? But I want you to pay attention to the zee-ba-doo-da, those 4 notes. Play them again. Look at that interval relationship. Those who, what instrument do you play? Yes. Alto sax. So you should be fingering along on your alto right now, right? We're starting on your A. A, B, C, D. Right? So all of you who are out here, you should be fingering along on your instruments as you're singing. Zee-ba-doo-da. 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 What's the interval relationship between the first 2 notes? Whole step. What's the interval relationship between the next 2? And the interval relationship between the next 2? Whole step, half step, whole step. Zee-ba-doo-da. Good. Go up a whole step from where you are right now, from the note that you ended up on. Play that note. Now play that interval relationship for me. Zee-ba-doo-da. There we go. Kaya's on it right away. Go. Zee-ba-doo-da. Whole step, half step, whole step, right? Zee-ba-doo-da. Zee-ba-doo-da. Zoo-ba-doo-da. Zee-ba-doo-da. So now I'm noticing symmetry in my scale, right? How the notes appear on the lower part of the scale, they're the same as they are on the top in terms of interval relationship. Can you see that? Zee-ba-doo-da, zee-ba-doo-da. Play those intervals down here, then play them up here. It's the same thing as it is here, right? Zee-ba-doo-ba-doo-da. Zee-ba-doo-ba-doo-da. Do-ba-doo-ba-doo-da. Do-ba-doo-ba-doo-da. Zee-ba-doo-da. 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 Zee-ba-doo-ba-dee-da. 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 Zee-la-dee. Zee-ba-doo-ba-dee-da. 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 So-ya-dee-doo-da. Do-ya-dee-doo-da. Stop. What does do-ya mean? Oh, my God. What does do-ya mean? Say it again. Glitz. Do-ya. Do-ya. Say it. Do-ya-dee-doo-da. 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 Now here's the beautiful thing. By doing this, once you practice it on one side of the scale, you got the same thing on the other side of the scale, right? So now we're playing through just the A section of 9 Tunisia. Don't go to the bridge, just the A section, okay? Once it gets to that D minor chord or your E minor chord, right? I want to hear some ideas based on this. So just out of those 4-note chunks where you're making a melody out of those 4 notes. You got it? 1, 2, 3, and you're first. Create some different challenges, because now all of a sudden, again, being smart and soulful, I'm applying this to a particular chord. What chord are we applying it to right now?
Concert D minor.
The concert D minor. When does that chord happen? The second measure, not the first measure. The reason this is important is because we get used to, when we say solo, we just kind of start, bam, right where the music starts. Now all of a sudden, this is going to change your phrasing to make you wait for that chord. Got it? 1, 3, arrow, 2, 3. I've introduced something else, eating this elephant one bite at a time. We started with rhythmic language. We then started to add words within the language. Shahula, Dolia, right? Now we're adding the harmonic hookup between the rhythmic language that you're playing and the chord changes to the piece, right? Now, and I don't want to run out of time because this is, these guys are great. They're able to do this in one setting here. This is something that happens over time. I don't expect all of you all to just go home and now do all of this tomorrow. No, you work on it piece at a time over an amount of time. Once you grasp this, then you go on to the next, right? So now I've gone basically from rhythmic language to words to now I'm hooking it up with the harmonies, which is allowing me to make sentences. I started from letters to words to sentences. What would be next? Okay. We eventually want to tell a story. The story is the entire solo from beginning to end. We tell that story by putting our information into some type of structure, possibly some paragraphs. And those paragraphs are made up of sentences, which are made up of words, which are made up of these letters. Are you with me? Right? So if you're going to tell an interesting story, you don't just start, we went to school and the boat blew up and blah, 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 blah. No. You set it up, you take your time. Are you a good joke teller? I need somebody who's a good joke teller. Okay, so let me see the mic for a second. Is this thing on? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No. All right, so there was this big band, and this drummer had been playing with the band for years, and that was kind of his thing. But as the years have gone on and he's gotten older, his time has started to slow down a bit, and he's dragging a bit. And the band's not making a lot of money. They just get together for kicks. But to the rest of the guys in the band, it starts to become a drag because he's dragging all the time. And so the guys got together and they talked to the leader and said, man, you got to talk to him. You got to do something. So he went and talked to them. He said, man, I love you. I've been playing with this band for years, but it's starting to affect the guys because you're slowing down and you're getting behind. And the guy says, really? I said, man, I want you to work on that. So a couple more weeks goes by. He's playing right behind the rest of the guys. Just dragging them just right behind him. So finally the leader said, man, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go. And the cat finished that night. He didn't really know what to do because that was kind of all he had been doing was playing that gig. He was living for that moment. So he decided, oh, I've had enough. I've lived a complete enough life. So he goes, there's a train coming, and he throws himself right behind the train. Now, my whole point is to tell that story and make it interesting. I could not just go, there's a cat, he used to play big drums in a big band, and he started dragging, he was dragging all the time, and the other cats, they were tired of him dragging, so he went and talked to the leader, and they said, man, you gotta do something about it. And so he went and talked to him, and he told him, man, you play behind the band, and he said, okay, I'll try to get better. And then he went a couple more weeks, and he kept playing behind the band, and then he told him, I'm gonna have to let you go because it's all, and the cat got depressed, and so he went out and he threw himself right behind the train. You don't get the point to the story that way. Are you with me? So now, when we go to improvise, we are telling a story. And you're drawing the people into your story, not just with what you say. Watch this. How do you keep a tenor player in suspense? So it's not just with what you say. We've been dealing with it's how you say it. That's how we've been pronouncing this rhythmic language. But then it's also in the timing. It's what comedy is all about. You know, ask me, what's comedy all about? Timing, right? So now, they're each going to take a course. Do you guys want to do the blues, or do you want to do Billy's Bounce, or do you want to do Tunisia? Billy's Bounce? Okay. So here's the point. Everybody's going to get 2 courses on Billy's Bounce. We're listening for several things because you all are now my advanced class. We're listening for your rhythmic language. We're listening for you to be able to make your shahulas and sweehulius and uliaku and oop oop de blee, oop oop de blah. We're listening for you to be able to make those, right? But now, what I'm listening for mostly is the story that you want to tell and how you tell that story. That impacts the rest of us because now all of a sudden we're not just playing chords, you know, and ride cymbal and walking bass line, but we're responding to this story, right? Olivia, did you see that clown when we were driving in and there was someone, they were driving and looking up in the mirror and putting on, did you see that? You didn't see it? What, I mean, if you saw something, doesn't that just drive you crazy? Yeah. Now, my whole point is, all she had to do to respond was go, yeah, no, sure, uh-huh. That's all she had to do to respond. Sometimes we think responding means, Olivia, did you, I did see him when they were, no, we don't have to respond that way. So now, this is Tunisia. Should lead it, should that, say you do, leave old stay move by so ya leave yo. Sad move and blue, somebody Louise, so ya yo. Stay move by ya leave yo. Sad move by Wait, can you hear what I was saying? Wait for me to finish my thought and then tell me, yeah. Right? So, now we're having a dialogue, we're having a conversation. Right? It's like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? If you tell the story in a conversational fashion, they will participate in the story. Are you with me? So we're doing this on Billy's Bounce. Let's play the melody first, and then just one course through the melody. Everybody's going to take 2 courses, and let's see if you can tell your story involving all of this stuff. Here we go. A 1,
3. 1, 2, 3.
incorporate the things that we talked about. I heard a lot of shahulas and sweehulia. I started to hear more rhythmic language. Just very quickly, the reason I grabbed the brushes and handed them to Henry, remember the whisper thing that we were doing so that we could hear the articulation? you will definitely hear it as soon as the brushes are picked up. So that gives you a way to tie this information in to your drummers as well. I hope this has been helpful to not only the educators, but to students as well. I hope this has been some great stuff for y'all. Please thank these kids again. Kyle, Kel, Basil, Michelle, Henry, Aaron, Olivia, Mr. E. Axline Middle School.
Say, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you.